In the middle of the vast Milky Way galaxy, many alien species lived together in what they called the Galactic Coalition. For thousands of years, these different aliens shared their knowledge and resources. They worked together to keep peace across the stars. Among these aliens, the Varandi were known for their advanced technology and clever battle plans. Their leader, High Commander Elix, believed that his people needed to keep growing and taking over new places to stay strong. One day, Varandi scientists found something interesting, a small blue planet at the edge of a spiral arm of the galaxy. This planet was called Earth. The scientists saw that the creatures living there, humans, were still new to space travel, but these humans had made amazing progress with technology in a very short time compared to other species. Far away from the busy center of the coalition, Kim Do-hyun watched the stars. As captain of Earth's first deep space monitoring station, his job was to look for anything unusual beyond the edges of our solar system. His small team worked with him on this lonely outpost, including Park Ji-woo, who was in charge of all communications. One quiet day, Do-hyun noticed strange energy readings coming from just past Pluto. He called Ji-woo to his side. "Look at this," he said, pointing to the blinking lights on his screen. "I've never seen anything like it." Ji-woo leaned closer.
"Should we report it?"
Do-hyun thought for a moment. "Not yet. Let's collect more data first. If this is what I think it is." They didn't have to wait long. Within hours, their instruments captured the image of a sleek vessel, unlike anything made on Earth. It moved with impossible speed, then stopped completely, something no human spacecraft could do. "It's them," Ji-woo whispered. "We're not alone." "We've suspected this for years," Do-hyun replied calmly. "Now we have proof. But we need to understand what we're dealing with before we tell everyone." For the next several days, Do-hyun and his crew watched the alien ship. It seemed to be scanning the outer planets, slowly making its way toward Earth. They recorded everything, building a file of information that would soon become the most important document in human history. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the highest leaders of the Galactic Coalition gathered for a meeting. The grand meeting hall was filled with beings of all shapes and sizes. Some had scales, others had fur, and many had forms humans couldn't even imagine. They sat in rising rows of seats with the oldest and most respected species near the front. High Commander Elix of the Varandi stood to speak. His skin was pale blue and he stood nearly 7 feet tall. "We have found a new world rich in resources," he announced. "The dominant species, while showing some promise, is still primitive. We propose bringing them under Varandi protection." A murmur ran through the assembly. Everyone knew what Varandi protection really meant, taking control of the planet and using its resources. From the front row, a small figure rose. Ambassador Trell of the Midorian race was ancient even by coalition standards. The Midorians were known for their vast library of knowledge about the galaxy's history. "I must advise against this course of action," Trell said, his voice surprisingly strong for his frail appearance. "The species you speak of, humans, are not like others we have encountered." Elix laughed. "They have barely reached their own moon. Their weapons are crude. What possible threat could they pose?" Trell moved to the center of the room. The holographic display showed images of Earth and its people. "The records in our great library tell of humans' unusual abilities," Trell explained. "They adapt faster than any species we know. When faced with a new problem, they create solutions quickly. When threatened, they unite despite their differences." "All species fight to survive," Elix said with a wave of his hand. "Not like humans," Trell insisted. "Most species surrender when defeat seems certain. Humans do not. They fight harder when their situation seems hopeless. They think in ways that other species find unpredictable." Another coalition member called out, "If they're so special, why haven't we heard of them before?" Trell's expression grew serious. "Because the last civilization that tried to conquer them was destroyed so completely that few records remain. This was long ago, before the coalition formed. We found only warnings in the deepest archives." Elix smiled coldly. "Ancient history and superstition. The Varandi deal in facts. And the facts are that this planet has resources we need, and its people cannot stop us from taking them." "I urge the coalition to place Earth under protection," Trell said. "Let them develop naturally until they're ready to join us as equals." A vote was taken. Most species, either fearing the Varandi or wanting access to Earth's resources themselves, sided with Elix. Earth would not receive coalition protection. As the meeting ended, Trell approached Elix privately. "You are making a terrible mistake. The universe has sent warnings about humans. Ignore them at your peril." Elix looked down at the smaller being. "Your concern is noted, Ambassador. But the Varandi have conquered 37 worlds. One more primitive planet will not be a problem." Back on Earth, unaware of the discussion that had just sealed their planet's fate, humanity continued its normal routines. People went to work, children attended school, and governments argued about small problems. No one knew that alien eyes were watching, or that alien ships were drawing closer. In his space station, Do-hyun noticed more energy signatures. "There are more ships now," he told Ji-woo. "I count at least 3 large vessels." Ji-woo looked worried. "What do you think they want?" "I don't know," Do-hyun replied. "But I think it's time to send our report to Earth." When the report reached the major governments of Earth, it caused immediate alarm. Emergency meetings were called. Military forces went on high alert. Scientists worked frantically to understand the data from Do-hyun's station. In Seoul, Defense Minister Bae called a secret meeting with the nation's top scientists and military leaders. "If these aliens come in peace, we will welcome them," he said. "But if they come with other intentions, we must be ready." Dr. Han, Korea's leading astrophysicist, studied the data. "These ships are far beyond our technology. Their energy readings suggest they could cross the galaxy in weeks, not centuries." General Yoon pounded his fist on the table. "Then what chance do we have if they attack?" Dr. Han looked up from her tablet. "We have one advantage they might not expect: our creativity. Humans have always been good at finding ways to win against stronger opponents." Similar meetings were happening in every major capital around the world. For once, old enemies put aside their differences in the face of this new unknown threat. In Washington, the president addressed a joint session of Congress. "We face the greatest moment in human history. We are not alone in the universe. How we respond will define our species for all time." In Moscow, Beijing, London, and Delhi, leaders prepared their people for whatever might come. Quietly, without public announcement, the world's best minds were gathered to work on defense plans. Up in his space station, Do-hyun watched as the alien ships moved closer to Earth. They were now just beyond the moon's orbit, clearly visible through the station's telescopes. The vessels were massive. The smallest was larger than the largest aircraft carrier on Earth. "They're taking position around the planet," Ji-woo said, her voice steady despite her fear. Do-hyun nodded. "And we still don't know if they've come as friends or enemies." The answer came 3 days later. Without warning, the alien ships broadcast a message to all of Earth's communication systems. The message was in perfect English, Russian, Mandarin, Arabic, and every other major human language. "People of Earth," the message began, "we are the Varandi, representatives of the Galactic Coalition. We have observed your world and determined that you require guidance. We offer you technology and knowledge in exchange for certain resources. Prepare to receive our representatives in 3 Earth days." The world's leaders scrambled to form a unified response team. After hasty negotiations, Lee Min-jae, a respected diplomat known for her calm under pressure, was chosen to speak for all of humanity. As Min-jae prepared for humanity's first meeting with aliens, she couldn't help but feel the weight of history on her shoulders. What do we do if their idea of guidance means taking over? Her assistant asked. Min-jae looked out the window at the night sky, where the alien ships were now visible as bright stars that didn't move like the others. "Then we show them they've made a mistake," she said quietly. "Because if there's one thing humans have always done, it's survive against the odds." Little did she know how soon her words would be tested, or how right the ancient warnings about humanity would prove to be. 6 months had passed since the Varandi ships first appeared in Earth's orbit. The initial panic had faded, replaced by a tense waiting game. 3 massive alien ships hung in the sky, visible to anyone who looked up on a clear night. Lee Min-jae stood before the United Nations Security Council. Her simple blue suit made her look calm and professional, but inside she felt her heart racing. As Earth's chosen diplomatic representative, she carried the hopes of the entire human race. "The Varandi delegation will arrive tomorrow," she said. "We need to show both strength and openness. They must see that we are willing to talk, but not willing to be controlled." General Rivers from the United States leaned forward. "And if they want more than talk?" Min-jae nodded. She understood the fear. "That's why we continue preparing, General. Diplomacy is our first choice, but not our only option. Minjae knew about preparation better than most. Her mother had been a quantum physicist who helped design Earth's early warning systems. Her father was a military general who taught her about strategy. This unusual background made her perfect for her role. She understood both how to talk and how to fight. After the meeting, Minjae met with her small team. Choi Tae-young, Earth's defense coordinator, showed her the latest satellite images. "They're moving something from their ships to this position," Tae-young said, pointing to a spot over the Atlantic Ocean. "We think it might be a weapons platform." Minjae frowned. "Not a good sign before peace talks?" "No," Tae-young agreed. "It's not." The next day, a small shuttle departed from the largest Verandi ship. It descended smoothly through Earth's atmosphere and landed at the designated meeting place in Geneva, Switzerland. The world watched as the door of the shuttle opened. Commander Raoul stepped out, followed by 6 other Verandi. They walked with confidence, their tall blue bodies moving gracefully despite Earth's gravity being stronger than they were used to. Minjae stepped forward. "On behalf of humanity, I welcome you to Earth." Raoul looked down at her. The Verandi were nearly 7 feet tall, making most humans seem small in comparison. "We accept your welcome," he said in perfect English. "We look forward to a productive discussion." The meeting took place in a large conference room. The human delegation sat on one side of a long table, with representatives from major nations. The Verandi sat opposite them, looking almost bored. Commander Raoul spoke first. "The Galactic Coalition has observed your world for some time. Your species has potential, but you are still very young. We offer you guidance and technology in exchange for certain resources." "We appreciate your interest in Earth," Minjae replied carefully. "We are certainly interested in learning about the galaxy and advanced technology. However, we need to understand exactly what resources you require." Raoul smiled. It didn't look friendly. "Nothing you cannot spare. Water from your oceans, minerals from your mountains, access to certain areas for our research stations. And what do we get in return?" asked the representative from China. "Protection," Raoul said simply. "Knowledge. A place in the galactic community. Eventually. When you are ready." Something in his tone made Minjae uncomfortable. "And who decides when we are ready?" "The Verandi, of course," Raoul replied. "We have guided many young species. Under our protection, you will advance much faster than on your own." The human delegates exchanged glances. This didn't sound like an equal partnership. "We would need to discuss the specific terms," Minjae said. "Any agreement must respect Earth's sovereignty and the rights of our people." Raoul's smile faded. "Of course. Take time to consider our offer. We will remain in orbit until we reach an agreement." After the meeting, the Earth delegation gathered privately. "They're not asking for cooperation," the Russian delegate said. "They're demanding submission." "Agreed," Minjae said. "Their protection sounds like control." The American representative looked grim. "And if we say no?" No one answered. They didn't need to. While Earth's leaders discussed the Verandi proposal, humans around the world prepared for the worst. Old enemies shared information. Scientists worked together across borders. Military forces ran joint exercises. In a secret facility beneath the mountains of South Korea, Kang Hyun-woo studied pieces of Verandi technology. His team had recovered parts from a small scout ship that had crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The Verandi hadn't even asked for it back, considering it unimportant. "Their power systems are far advanced," Hyun-woo told his team. "But the basic principles are similar to our own research. I think we can understand this." Around the world, similar projects were underway. In underground labs and hidden facilities, humans worked day and night to understand the alien technology. In orbit, Kim Do-hyun continued monitoring the Verandi ships from his space station. "They're launching more shuttles," he reported to Earth. "Small ones. They appear to be scanning the planet's surface." On the Verandi command ship, Commander Raltz met with his officers. "The humans are taking too long to decide," he said. "And our scans show they are increasing their military readiness." His second-in-command officer Ven looked worried. "Perhaps we should consult with the coalition before proceeding," the Midorian ambassador warned. "The Midorians are old and afraid of everything," Rawls interrupted. "These humans are primitive. They have no space fleet, no energy weapons. Their most advanced fighters cannot even leave their atmosphere effectively." "But our scouts report unusual activity," Ven persisted. They appear to be sharing technology and resources across their political divisions. This is not common behavior for a divided species. Rawls waved his hand dismissively. A temporary alliance born of fear. It will not last. Prepare the secondary landing teams. We will establish bases at these locations. He pointed to spots in North America, Asia, Europe, and Africa on the holographic map of Earth. Once we control these strategic points, the humans will see the futility of resistance. Back on Earth, 3 weeks had passed since the first meeting with the Varandi. World leaders gathered again to discuss their response. We have analyzed their proposal carefully, Minjay told the assembled leaders. What they're asking for is not a fair trade. The limited resources they want include exclusive control of key areas on every continent. The technology they offer in return is minimal, just enough to make us dependent on them, not enough to make us equal. Then what do we do? Asked the Brazilian president. We cannot match their military power. Taeyong stood up. Not in a direct fight, no. But we've been studying their technology. We've found potential weaknesses, and most importantly, they don't expect us to fight at all. They think we'll surrender to a superior force. Humans have never been good at doing what's expected, said the British Prime Minister with a grim smile. The next day, Minjay met with Commander Rawls again. This time they met in a smaller room, just the two of them and a few advisors. We have considered your proposal, Minjay said. We cannot accept these terms. However, we are open to negotiating a more equal arrangement. Rawls's expression hardened. I don't think you understand your position. We are not asking permission. We are informing you of what will happen. And I don't think you understand humans, Minjay replied calmly. We do not respond well to threats. This is not a threat, Rawls said. It is simply the reality of your situation. You are outmatched. Resistance would only cause unnecessary suffering for your people. Minjay stood up. We will not surrender our planet or our freedom. We ask you to reconsider your approach and return with a proposal based on mutual respect. As she turned to leave, Rawls called after her. You have 3 days to reconsider. After that, we will establish our bases with or without your cooperation. Minjay didn't look back as she walked out. Her hands were shaking, but her voice had remained steady. As soon as she was in her car, she called Taeyong. It's happening, she said. They're going to move in 3 days. We're ready, Taeyong replied. Or as ready as we can be. Over the next 3 days, final preparations were made worldwide. Civilians in major cities were moved to safer areas. Military forces took up defensive positions. Scientists worked around the clock to finish their projects. In his underwater research station, Dr. Yoon Sora made a breakthrough in understanding the Varandi propulsion system. They're using controlled dimensional folding, she explained to her team, essentially creating shortcuts through space. But the process requires precise calculations. If those calculations are disrupted even slightly, her colleague, Dr. Park, nodded in understanding. Their ships would be stranded, unable to use their faster-than-light travel. Exactly, Sora confirmed. And I think we can cause that disruption. On the 3rd day, true to their word, the Varandi ships deployed dozens of shuttles toward Earth. They headed for the locations Rawls had selected for their bases. In orbit, Do-hyun watched with dread. It's starting, he told Jiwoo. They're moving. On the main Varandi ship, Rawls received an unexpected communication from Ambassador Trell of the Midorian race. I make one final appeal, Trell said, his ancient face serious on the screen. Withdraw from Earth now. You have awakened something you do not understand, Rawls laughed. Their primitive weapons can barely reach orbit. What threat could they possibly pose? Trell shook his head sadly. The warnings in our archives were clear. When humans are threatened, they do not behave like other species. They become something else. The Varandi patience lasted exactly 3 weeks. When Earth formally rejected their demands for resource extraction rights, they struck with shocking speed and precision. From orbit, energy weapons disabled key military installations around the world. Power grids in major cities went dark. Communication networks fell silent. Commander Rawls watched from his command ship with satisfaction. Begin Phase 2, he ordered. Varandi shuttles descended to Earth's surface, landing at carefully selected locations. The plains outside Washington, D.C., the steppes near Moscow, the deserts near Beijing, and similar strategic points on every continent. Ground forces established bases and began setting up equipment to extract resources. In his underground bunker, Choi Taeyong received reports of the attacks. World leaders demanded immediate action. Not yet, Taeyong told them. We need to let them think they've won. The President of the United States looked doubtful on the secure video link. My people are dying. I know, Taeyong said grimly. Mine too. But if we strike now, we lose our one advantage, surprise. They think we're beaten. Let them keep thinking that, for just a little longer. What the Verandi didn't expect was humanity's response speed. Rather than surrender or fall into chaos, governments worldwide implemented emergency protocols that had been developing since the aliens' arrival. Beneath the mountains of Korea, Kang Hyun-woo watched as engineers assembled weapons based on his designs, using the technology salvaged from the crashed Verandi scout ship. They had created something new, a hybrid of human innovation and alien science. The shields on their ships and bases operate on predictable energy frequencies. He explained to the military officers observing the work. They cycle through 5 patterns, each lasting exactly 12.8 seconds. General Kim nodded. And in between those patterns? A gap of 0.3 seconds, Hyun-woo said. Barely noticeable, but enough for our weapons to penetrate if they're timed perfectly. The general looked skeptical. Can we really time an attack down to 1/3 of a second? Hyun-woo smiled for the first time in days. That's the beauty of it. We don't have to. These devices will detect the shield frequency and automatically fire during the gap. All our forces need to do is get close enough. Meanwhile, in an underwater research station deep in the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Yoon Sora continued her work on understanding the Verandi propulsion system. Her facility had been built years before as a secret research station, hidden from both foreign governments and the public. Now its isolation proved life-saving. Their dimensional folding drive creates a bubble of altered space-time, she explained to her team of physicists. That's how they travel faster than light. They don't break the cosmic speed limit, they take a shortcut. Her colleague, Dr. Kang, looked up from his calculations. But such a bubble would be incredibly sensitive to external fields. Exactly, Sora nodded. And we've mapped the exact frequency that would disrupt that bubble. If we can generate a field of this specific pattern near their ships, they'll be stranded, Dr. Kang finished. Unable to escape back to their fleet, Sora allowed herself a small smile. And unable to call for reinforcements. The Verandi, believing their victory assured, were perplexed by humanity's lack of official surrender. Coalition advisors urged High Commander Elix to reconsider his approach. There's unusual communication activity across their planet, a Verandi analyst reported. Despite our taking down their main networks, they appear to be coordinating something. Elix dismissed these concerns. They're using backup systems, obviously. Probably coordinating relief efforts or planning some futile resistance. Nothing that can threaten our position. On the 3rd day after the Verandi attack, Lee Min-jae met with the remaining world leaders via a secure communication system that the aliens hadn't detected. The system used old-fashioned radio waves with frequency-hopping patterns inspired by insect communications, something the Verandi's advanced but predictable scanning technology overlooked. All teams report ready, she told them. Dr. Yoon's disruptor is in place. Kang's weapons are distributed to our forces. We can move on your command. The Chinese premier spoke first. My forces are in position around their Beijing base. We await only the signal. Similar reports came in from around the world. Against all odds, humanity had prepared a coordinated global response in just 3 days. Then we are agreed, Min-jae said. The counterattack begins at dawn, local time at each Verandi base. May fortune favor the brave. As the meeting ended, the Russian president remained on the line. Do you think we can really win against such advanced technology? He asked Min-jae privately. She took a deep breath. I think we can hurt them enough to make them reconsider. And sometimes that's enough. On the Verandi command ship, Ambassador Trell made one final attempt to warn Commander Rals. Our scans show unusual activity around our ground bases, Trell said, his ancient face grave on the view screen. Small groups of humans approaching under cover of darkness. I urge you, withdraw now before it's too late, Rals laughed. With what weapons? Our first strike disabled their major military installations? They have nothing that can penetrate our shields. The archives warned us, Trell insisted. Humans are resourceful beyond reason. They adapt faster than any species we've encountered. These archives of yours, Ralph said mockingly. How old are they? Very old, Trell admitted. From before the coalition formed. Then perhaps they're outdated, Ralph suggested. Technology has advanced since then. The Varandi certainly have. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a resource extraction operation to oversee. As the screen went dark, Officer Venn approached cautiously. Commander, our ground bases are reporting strange energy readings from the surrounding areas. Should we investigate? Probably just their primitive power systems trying to come back online, Raoul said dismissively. Focus on getting the extraction equipment fully operational. The sooner we collect what we need, the sooner we can leave this backwater planet. As dawn broke over each continent, the Varandi would learn just how wrong they were. Outside the Varandi base near Seoul, Captain Bay led a small team of soldiers through the forest. Each carried a weapon unlike anything used in human conflicts before. A rifle-like device with glowing blue components integrated into conventional human design. Remember your training, Bay told his team quietly. Wait for the shield to cycle, let the weapon detect the gap, then fire. One shot is all you'll get before they detect us. Similar teams approached Varandi bases worldwide, using terrain and dawn shadows for cover. In Washington, D.C., Commander Ralph himself had established the North American Command Center. He stood on a platform watching as Varandi technicians set up mining equipment. The humans had been cleared from the area, their military forces either destroyed or in retreat. A shield dome glimmered faintly over the entire base. Phase 1 extraction will begin in 1 hour, a technician reported. We should have the first shipment ready by... The technician never finished his sentence. A series of blue-white energy bolts suddenly pierced the shield dome, striking key points around the base with surgical precision. Equipment exploded. Secondary systems failed. Ralph stared in disbelief. Impossible. How did they penetrate our shields? Before anyone could answer, a second wave of attacks hit the base. These were conventional human weapons, missiles and artillery, but they came through the weakened shield as if it wasn't there. Ralph grabbed his communication device. All bases report. Are you under attack? The responses came in quick succession, each more alarming than the last. Moscow base under heavy assault. Shield compromised. Beijing base taking fire from multiple directions. Sydney base has fallen. Repeat, Sydney base has fallen to human forces. Officer Venn looked at Ralph with growing horror. How is this possible? Their weapons shouldn't be able to affect our technology. Ralph had no answer. For the first time, doubt crept into his mind. Around the world, the pattern repeated. Human forces using their hybrid weapons struck Varandi bases simultaneously. The aliens' technological advantage, while still significant, had been partially neutralized by humanity's quick study of their systems. In the Pacific Ocean, John Minho captained the submarine Silent Thunder. His vessel had been hastily retrofitted with Dr. Yoon's disruptor technology. The submarine slipped silently beneath the waves toward the Varandi underwater processing facility. Remember, he told his crew, we're not just fighting for Korea or even Earth. We're fighting for humanity's right to exist. As they approached the alien structure, Minho gave the order, activate the disruptor. The device powered up, sending invisible waves of energy through the water. On their monitors, they watched as the Varandi facility's systems began to flicker and fail. It's working, the science officer reported. Their dimensional field is collapsing. Minho nodded grimly. Launch torpedoes. The specially modified torpedoes streaked through the water. Without their protective fields, the Varandi facility was vulnerable. The explosions ripped through the alien structure, sending debris floating to the surface. In orbit, the situation grew equally dire for the Varandi. The human space station had been considered too small and primitive to pose a threat. That proved to be a fatal miscalculation. Kim Do-hyun had spent weeks studying the Varandi ships, identifying potential weaknesses. Now he unleashed a weapon that no one, not even most humans, had known existed. The counterattack began simultaneously around the world. The Varandi had expected conventional weapons, missiles, bombs, and bullets. What they faced was something entirely different. From hidden bases across Earth, newly developed hybrid weapons launched. These weapons combined Varandi technology with human innovation in ways the aliens had never imagined possible. Their shields, designed to stop energy weapons or physical projectiles, couldn't handle attacks that were both at once. 6 Verandi bases fell in the first hour. John Minho stood on the bridge of the submarine Silent Thunder as it circled the remains of the Verandi underwater base. His crew had trained for just 10 days on the new weapon systems, but they had performed flawlessly. "Confirm all Verandi life signs," he ordered his second-in-command. "Scanning now, Captain," the officer replied. After a moment, she looked up with relief. "We detect escape pods leaving the area. They're retreating, not pursuing." Minho nodded. This wasn't about destroying the Verandi. It was about showing them that humans wouldn't be easy prey. "Take us to Rendezvous Point Beta," he ordered. "We need to report our success and prepare for possible counterattacks." As the submarine slipped away into deeper waters, Minho allowed himself a small smile. Their part of the plan had worked perfectly. He hoped the other teams around the world had been equally successful. They had been. In orbit, the Verandi flagship faced an unexpected threat. Commander Ralls watched in disbelief as small agile craft approached, seemingly immune to their targeting systems. "How are they evading our weapons?" he demanded. The weapons officer looked confused. "Their flight patterns make no sense, Commander. They change direction randomly, accelerate and decelerate without reason. Our predictive targeting cannot lock on." What the Verandi didn't understand was that the craft were piloted by humans, specifically selected for their exceptional reflexes, mostly recruited from fighter pilots and professional gamers. Among them, former Air Force pilot Han Ji-yeon maneuvered her craft with precision that the Verandi targeting computers couldn't match. Unlike the logical, efficient paths that alien pilots would take, she flew in ways that seemed chaotic but were actually carefully controlled. "Keep them guessing," she told her squadron through the comm system. "Every time their computers predict your next move, do something else." Her squadron followed her lead, approaching the massive Verandi ship in patterns that no algorithm could predict. When they were close enough, each pilot released a small, specialized device that attached to the ship's hull. "All devices deployed," Jian reported. "Activating now." The devices powered up simultaneously, creating an energy field that disrupted the ship's propulsion system. The massive vessel hung dead in space, unable to maneuver or escape. On the ground, the tide turned even more dramatically. Verandi ground forces discovered that humans wouldn't surrender even when outgunned. Worse, humans adapted with terrifying speed, using Verandi weapons against them within hours of capturing them. Outside the Moscow base, Russian soldiers led by Colonel Petrov had surrounded the remaining Verandi forces. Using weapons designed by scientists who had studied the alien technology, they systematically disabled the Verandi defenses. "They're trying to call for help," Petrov's communications officer reported. "But something's blocking their signals." Petrov nodded in satisfaction. "Dr. Yoon's disruptor is working. They're cut off from their fleet. Without support and with their technological advantage neutralized, the Verandi commander at the Moscow base made an unprecedented decision. "We surrender," he told Colonel Petrov. "We request safe passage back to our ships." Similar scenes played out around the world. In Beijing, Delhi, Cairo, and a dozen other locations, Verandi forces found themselves outmaneuvered by humans who should have been easy to defeat. In his command center in Seoul, Taeyong received reports from battlefields worldwide. Each message brought news of another victory. The London base has fallen. Cairo base neutralized. Minimal casualties on both sides. Sydney base under human control. Verandi retreating. Minjae, who had joined him in the command center, looked at the global map with its green lights showing human victories. "It's working better than we hoped," she said quietly. Taeyong nodded. "Because they underestimated us. They thought we'd fight like they do, logically, predictably. They weren't prepared for human creativity." On the main Verandi ship, High Commander Elix faced a crisis unlike any in Verandi history. Their ground bases were falling one by one. Their ships were disabled or under attack. And most concerning of all, the humans were capturing Verandi technology intact. "We must destroy the bases we've lost," Elix ordered. "Cannot let the humans keep our technology." Officer Ven looked uncomfortable. "Commander, the self-destruct systems are not responding. It appears the humans have found a way to disable them." Elix slammed his fist on the control panel. "How is this possible? They're primitives. They shouldn't be able to understand our systems, let alone counter them so quickly." "The Midorian warnings," Ven said quietly. About human adaptability. Elix glared at him. Do not speak to me of those ancient superstitions. But even as he said it, Elix knew that the warnings had proven true. Humans didn't respond like any species the Varandi had encountered before. When faced with superior technology, most species would surrender and accept their new place in the galactic hierarchy. Humans instead had studied that technology, adapted it, and turned it against its creators, all in a matter of weeks. In Washington, D.C., the Varandi Command Center for North America had become a battleground. Commander Ralts, who had been visiting the base when the attacks began, found himself trapped as human forces surrounded the facility. We must break through their lines, he told his officers. Get back to the ships. Our vehicles are disabled, his security chief reported. The humans have some kind of energy disruptor that affects our engines. Ralts hadn't expected to need personal weapons on what should have been a simple resource extraction mission. Now he found himself facing the primitive species he had dismissed, and they were winning. A communication came through on the emergency channel. This is General Harris of the United States Armed Forces. Your facility is surrounded. Your ships in orbit are disabled. Surrender now and you will be treated according to international law. Ralts hesitated. Surrender was not in the Varandi military code. But neither was being defeated by a pre-galactic species. Before he could respond, the doors to the command center burst open. Human soldiers entered, carrying weapons that combined their own design with clearly Varandi-inspired components. Commander Ralts, said the human officer in front, you are hereby detained under the authority of the United Earth Defense Council. For the first time in his long military career, Ralts surrendered. High above Earth, Do-Yun's space station had become the coordinating center for the orbital battle. Using his deep knowledge of space operations and the new hybrid technology, he directed the small fleet of human spacecraft as they systematically disabled the Varandi ships. Target the secondary vessels first, he instructed the pilots. The flagship will be unable to escape without escort ships. Jian's voice came through the comm system. What about their weapons? They can still fire on Earth. Dr. Yoon's team is working on that, Do-Yun replied. Her disruptor should affect their targeting systems. Keep them busy until it's ready. In her underwater lab, Dr. Yoon Sora worked frantically to modify her disruptor technology. The original design had focused on propulsion systems, but with some adjustments it might affect weapons as well. Increase the frequency modulation, she told her team. We need to match the energy signature of their targeting computers. Dr. Kang looked up from his calculations. If we push it too far, it might affect our own systems. We'll have to risk it, Sora said. If they decide to fire their main weapons at Earth in desperation, she didn't need to finish the thought. Everyone understood what was at stake. After hours of work, Sora's team had a solution. It's ready, she announced, transmitting the specifications to all defense points now. Around the world, human forces implemented the modified disruptor. One by one, the weapon systems on the Varandi ships went offline. On the Varandi flagship, Elix received the devastating news. Weapons control is not responding. Propulsion is offline. Communications are limited to short range only. He stood in silence for a long moment, facing the view screen that showed the blue-green planet below. How had it all gone so wrong? The Varandi had conquered 37 worlds without serious resistance. This planet should have been no different. Your orders, Commander? Ven asked quietly. Elix took a deep breath. Open a channel to their leaders. We will discuss terms. It was the closest a Varandi commander had ever come to admitting defeat. In Seoul, Min-jae received word of the Varandi request for negotiations. She conferred quickly with Taeyong and other world leaders via the secure communication network. We should agree to talks, she advised. Our goal was never to destroy them, only to defend ourselves. The American president looked skeptical. We have the advantage now. Why not press it further? Because we're not like them, Min-jae said firmly. We didn't start this fight. We don't need to destroy their civilization to prove our point. 3 weeks after humanity's counterattack began, the Varandi sued for peace. Their remaining ships retreated beyond Mars, maintaining position while final negotiations proceeded. In Geneva, Lee Min-jae again represented humanity, but this time with Choi Tae-yong and an international team of military and scientific advisors beside her. Across the table, High Commander Elix had been replaced by Varandi High Diplomat Seni, a slender figure whose pale blue skin seemed almost gray with stress. "We offer reparations and technology exchange," Seni began cautiously, "and of course immediate withdrawal from your solar system." "We require more," Minjay responded firmly. "A seat in your galactic coalition, access to interstellar travel, and recognition of all space within our solar system as sovereign human territory." The Varandi delegation exchanged glances. Such demands were unprecedented, impossible, Seni whispered. "No species has joined the coalition without centuries of preparation. No species has defeated a Varandi invasion force," Taeyong countered. Seni's assistant leaned close and whispered urgently in the diplomat's ear. After a moment of consideration, Seni spoke again. "We could possibly arrange observer status in the coalition," she offered. "A limited technology exchange for non-military purposes. Perhaps in a century or two full membership could be—" "Unacceptable," Minjay interrupted. "We are not asking for charity or a probationary period. We have earned our place at the table." "You don't understand," Seni said, her voice taking on a hint of frustration. "The coalition has protocols, traditions. Species are integrated slowly to maintain stability." Minjay leaned forward. "Then perhaps those protocols need to change. Because humanity has no intention of waiting centuries while potential threats like the Varandi lurk at our borders. We need a voice in galactic affairs now." The negotiations continued for days. Each time the Varandi tried to delay or diminish human demands, Minjay reminded them of their defeat and the Varandi technology now in human hands. "We have already reverse-engineered your propulsion systems," she told them during one tense session. "Our scientists estimate we could build our own interstellar ships within 5 years. We would prefer to join the galactic community through diplomacy, but make no mistake, humanity will reach the stars one way or another." What the Varandi didn't realize was that Minjay was bluffing, at least partially. While human scientists had made remarkable progress, they were still years away from truly understanding all the principles behind Varandi technology. But the bluff worked. The Varandi, shaken by how quickly humans had adapted their shield and weapons technology, believed it. On the 5th day of negotiations, a new party arrived. Ambassador Trell of the Midorian race entered the room, his ancient eyes taking in both delegations. "The Coalition Council has sent me to observe these historic talks," he announced, "and to extend an invitation to Earth's representatives to address the full council." Seni looked shocked. "Ambassador, this is highly irregular. The council cannot possibly be considering—" "The council," Trell interrupted gently, "recognizes exceptional circumstances when they arise. The humans have demonstrated capabilities that warrant special consideration." Minjay worked hard to hide her surprise and delight. This was exactly the opening they needed. "We would be honored to address the council," she said, bowing slightly to Trell. Later that day, when the Varandi delegation had left, Trell remained to speak with the human team privately. "You have accomplished something remarkable," he told them. "No species has ever repelled a Varandi expansion force. The coalition is curious." "Curious or concerned?" Taeyong asked bluntly. Trell's wrinkled face formed what might have been a smile. "Both, of course. You have shown yourselves to be resourceful, adaptable, and formidable when threatened. These are qualities that make for valuable allies or dangerous enemies." "We have no interest in being anyone's enemy," Minjay assured him. "We only want security for our world and a fair place in the galactic community." "And you shall have it," Trell said. "I have studied your species for many years. The warnings about humanity in our archives are not just about your tenacity in battle, but about your potential for growth and innovation. The Varandi saw only the threat. I see the promise." For the first time since the Varandi ships had appeared in Earth's skies, Minjay felt truly hopeful about humanity's future among the stars. Throughout the negotiated settlement, humanity demonstrated the same adaptability that had won the conflict. Teams of linguists worked day and night to master the common language of the coalition. Scientists and engineers studied the technology the Varandi had left behind. Military strategists developed new doctrines for defense in a 3-dimensional battlefield that encompassed not just Earth, but the entire solar system. In orbit, Kim Do-hyun's space station became the center for a new initiative, Earth's first true space fleet. The small, agile craft that had helped defeat the Varandi became the model for a new generation of ships. "We need to be ready," Do-hyun told the international team of engineers and pilots now working on the station. The Varandi won't be the only species out there, and others might see us as either a threat or an opportunity. Park Ji-woo, now heading the communications division, nodded in agreement. The more we learn about this galactic coalition, the more complex it seems. Hundreds of species, thousands of worlds, all with their own agendas. Then we'll need to be smart about who we trust, Do-hyun replied, starting with this Ambassador Trell. He seems friendly, but we should remember he serves the coalition's interests, not Earth's. 2 weeks after negotiations began, a special shuttle arrived to transport Earth's delegation to the coalition Central Council. The ship was Midorian, not Varandi, a small but significant diplomatic gesture. Min-jae led the Earth delegation, which included Taeyong, Dr. Yoon Sora, Kang Hyun-woo, and, somewhat surprisingly, Kim Do-hyun. Trell had specifically requested the space station captain's presence, noting that his early detection of the Varandi ships had given Earth valuable preparation time. As they boarded the shuttle, Min-jae felt the weight of history on her shoulders. Remember, she told her team, we represent not just our nations but our entire species. What happens today will shape humanity's future for generations. The journey to the Coalition Central Station took only hours, thanks to the Midorian ship's advanced drive. When they arrived, the humans were awestruck by the massive structure hanging in space. It resembled a giant wheel, with spokes extending from a central hub, each section designed to accommodate different species' environmental needs. The Coalition Station has existed for over 2,000 years, Trell explained as they docked. It has been expanded many times as new species joined. Perhaps one day there will be a human section. The council chamber itself was even more impressive. A vast amphitheater with hundreds of seats arranged in concentric circles. Each seat could adjust to the physical needs of its occupant, from the massive, high-gravity chairs of the Bolian representatives to the liquid-filled tanks of the aquatic Neri. As the humans entered, a murmur ran through the assembly. Many council members had never seen humans before, and they studied the Earth delegation with obvious curiosity. At the center of the chamber, a raised platform awaited them. Trell guided them forward, then stepped aside. Representatives of Earth, announced the council speaker, a tall, willowy being with golden skin. You stand before the Galactic Coalition, the oldest and largest alliance of worlds in our galaxy. We have heard much about your species in recent days. Now we would hear from you directly. Min-jae stepped forward. The chamber's translation system would convert her words into the hundreds of languages spoken by council members. Honored representatives, she began. I bring greetings from Earth. We come before you not as supplicants but as equals. Recent events have forced our species to become aware of the larger galactic community, sooner than we might have chosen. But now that we know of your existence, we seek to join you as full partners in shaping our shared future. She spoke for nearly an hour, describing Earth's diverse cultures, its rapid technological development, and its hopes for peaceful cooperation. But she also made clear humanity's determination to defend itself. We regret the conflict with the Varandi, she said toward the end. We would have preferred to meet the galactic community through peaceful contact. But now that we have proven ourselves, we ask for recognition of our sovereignty, our right to self-determination, and our place among the stars. When she finished, the chamber was silent. Then one by one representatives began to ask questions. How could your species defeat a Varandi expansion force with such limited technology? Asked the representative from a world called Thar Taeyong, stepped forward to answer. We studied their technology and adapted quickly. Humans have always been good at learning from others, improving designs and finding creative solutions to difficult problems. What assurance do we have that humans won't become a threat to the coalition? Asked another representative. Dr. Yoon Sora responded to this one. We seek knowledge and cooperation, not conquest. Earth has many internal divisions, but we united against the Varandi threat. We would rather direct that unity toward positive goals: exploration, scientific advancement, cultural exchange. The questions continued for hours. Some representatives were clearly concerned,